Welcome! E aí, galera, beleza? Bem-vindo à nossa comunidade.
Welcome to our community.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is OGC here. Welcome to today's video. We have so much to go over today. Today, we have two new artifacts that we need to look at. One of them just came out yesterday. The other one is about a week old. It came out in the Lucky Wheel. However, I did not cover it yet in the channel. So, first things first, we'll go over the oldest one first, which is about a week old. It's a pay-to-win artifact. And let's see if I can pull it up real quick. It is called the oh jeez, they gotta make everything so hard to read. It is called the it's the shell one. Anyways, what happens is at 1 star it puts forth a tide in front of the hero at the start of the battle, reducing the healing received by the enemies in the area by 10%. Every 15 seconds, it emits another pulse, which is a tide. It goes straight forwards, further reducing the healing received by 5%. When the enemy hero dies of it, it emits a tidal pulse. At the most, it can do 8 pulses per battle. It does not affect Overlord units. This effect persists even after the hero with the artifact dies. So basically, what this does is it puts out a line version, and I'll show you what it looks like on the battlefield. And it reduces the healing effect of the enemies. This is huge because I believe lifesteal is also considered part of the area of effect. With your gladiators, the tier 14 research with the siphons portion, if anybody uses things like noble blood, the things that are benefited from noble blood or tranquility, all that type of stuff, this will definitely affect them, which is awesome. So what happens when we get this up to 2 stars? So once we get it to 2 stars, it increases the reduced healing effect at the start of battle to 20%, and it increases the reduced healing effect against gladiators and paladin heroes by a factor of 1.15. So it will reduce the healing of the gladiators and paladins by more than anything else. So that's kind of huge. That will also affect Tyrden. A lot of people are putting Tyrden out, including myself, to heal up the heroes on the hero side, power side. At 3 stars, the Tidal Pulse also reduces the moral decay of the enemies by 20% for 3.5 seconds, during which time moral boosts will immediately end. So this is a really, really big counter to I guess snipers. I guess it can affect snipers, but especially humans, because you just shut down completely their moral boost. So this is another big hit to those cluster races like Rockin, humans, and I guess snipers. But yeah, that's a bad hit for them because it will just stop their moral boost immediately. That's not good. That's not good. Anyways, at 4 stars, it increases the reduced healing effect at the start of the battle by 30%, increased the reduced healing effect against gladiators and paladins by 1.3, so an additional like 30% to the gladiators and paladins. Basically, this thing is just going to shut down the healing of the enemies. And at 5 stars, the pulse also reduces the max health of enemy units by 5%, and it can stack. Remember, this can go out over and over, I believe up to 8 times. So in total, it can do 40% damage to everything in that line. So this is a pretty huge artifact. I have enough stuff to level it up higher. I don't know if it's really worth it just to go to like 2 stars or 3 stars. I think actually I take it back. 3 stars would be really good. But if it's just at 2 stars, I don't think it's really worth it to go to 2 unless you're able to go to 3 or higher. This is a pretty good artifact in the sense of you can just place it onto a hero, set it and forget it. And especially if this gets lined up against the enemy's power side, especially if they're using a lot of heroes, it's going to help to really shut down their power side. If you can stall it out, or if it's power side versus power side, you have this, it will reduce the healing so much that you'll actually be able to punch right through their power side a little bit easier. So when we jump out, if we want to see like the size of it, because size does matter, I think right now I just threw it on Nora for the video. So we'll put it onto Nora and we'll be able to see. Okay, so we can see it came out and it looks like it's Let's see here. It looks like it's probably about as wide. It looks like it's about the same size as a tailwind, where it's five, maybe six cells wide, and it goes right out all the way to the end of the enemies. So it has a pretty good range. I would just consider the width of it when you're placing it on the battlefield in whatever way your formation looks like. That way you can get as much of the enemy's power side into it as possible. I think that will help out the most. So let's go check out the brand new artifact that just came out yesterday. This new artifact is actually a I can pronounce the name first of all, so that's huge. And it just came out yesterday. So before I do this, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to this video and to this channel. It helps us out tremendously. We have new videos about 6 out of 7 days a week. It's pretty amazing. We're able to keep up doing an amazing job putting out content. Also, description in the link below, or in the description, there are links in them. Sorry. And in there, you can find the Patreon page if you guys want to further support this. There's also the merch store and OGC community Discord. Anyways, had to get the plug out there. Let's jump in. So this is the unstable chest. The unstable chest just came out yesterday. This one is actually a free to play artifact, so you can actually level this up. Just by accumulating everything in the game. So this at 1 star, this is called Unstable Chest. At 1 star, it unleashes a flux at a random enemy unit every 17 seconds with a 30% chance to do an additional flux. It deals magic damage to enemy units equal to 90% of the hero's attack. So this sounds like a pretty big thing. So my thinking was I can get 340,000 attack onto my Jax, and if this flux hits any type of ranged units besides Shroom Lords, they're just gone. They're just off the battlefield. However, it doesn't work like that. I'll show you a little bit more on how it works later on, at least at how I see it working. If it's working in a different way, I hope somebody points it out to me. Anyways, at 2 stars, it reduces the interval of the flux to 15 seconds and increases the magic damage done to nearby enemies up to 120% of the hero's attack. This is really weird because the wording changed. So at 1 star, it's a random enemy unit. At 2 stars, it's a nearby enemy unit. It's super weird. I don't know why it's worded that way. But anyways, at 2 stars, the flux basically happens more frequently and it's going to do more damage. At 3 stars, it changes the flux unleash probability to 50% chance for 1 flux, 30% chance for 2 fluxes, and a 20% chance for 3. So basically, you have a 50% chance of hitting more than 1 unit, and it increases the damage done up to 150% of the hero's attack power. So this is where you're going to get the major spike in damage because you're going to ultimately go up to 150% of the hero's attack. This is the highest amount of damage you'll get out of this. Once you do get to 4 stars, it will reduce the interval down to 12 seconds, which I guess is pretty good. It's still, to do this once every 12 seconds, it's still not super common. It will happen 5 times in the first minute of a battle, and pretty much the battle is going to be over in the first minute. It's going to be over pretty much in the first 30 seconds. But anyways, any units struck by the flux will be stunned for 1 second. So 1 second is a pretty big deal. Again, if you compare this to something like the Dragon's Protection proc or Rufio doing his Intimidating Shout or the Mana Worms, 1 second is really nothing in comparison to that. Could it affect and cause a win for the battle? Sure, in any type of CC you can get on the enemy is a good thing. So at 5 stars, the Flux Unleashed probability, 50% chance to cast 2 fluxes, 30% chance for 3, and 20% for 4. So basically, once you get to 5 stars, you're always going to do more than 1 flux. When you also have a 50% chance to do more than 2. So a 50% chance for 2 and a 50% chance for more than 2, which I think at that point in time, this will then become good. So the weird part with this artifact, and the part that I really don't like, is the units hit. Oh, this isn't going to be a good example. The units hit by the flux, that total attack damage it's not going to each individual troop in the unit isn't going to get hit for that attack damage. That attack damage is going to go out and get dispersed in the unit. So let's see what happens with Gafgar. It will proc now. All right, so we saw it hit up here. So against these human things, it did like 1/3 of their total health, and this is like silver 15 against NPCs. So if we leave and we look at how strong these guys actually are, these guys are super weak, super weak. Now I know that this is only the 1 star and it's doing 90% of the hero's attack. It's still really low. So for this artifact, in all honesty, my opinion, at least within 12 hours of it being out and testing it just for a couple hours, what I think about this so far is I think this will be decent. And I do mean like decent. Once you get this to like 4 or 5 stars, really 5 stars, it will begin to matter because you're guaranteed to always have multiple fluxes every 12 seconds, which is decent. I don't think it's going to be game changing until then. I was stacking this up on heroes with over 340,000 attack, and it still wasn't doing anything super noticeable. I think this has a ton of good potential, especially when we go back to cluster based things. But for right now, I don't think it's super game changing. I'm as you guys saw, like I'm holding on to like plenty of free stuff. So if this happens to be sleeper OP and I'm just not aware of it, I can easily just get this up real quick. So anyways, that's the two new artifacts and my thoughts with them. The tidal wave one, really good to shut down the enemy's power side if you can line it up or boost up your power side, because anytime you can reduce the healing, absolutely huge, especially with all those Azul dragons out there now with Noble Blood. Absolutely huge stuff. With the newest one, the chest, I really don't think it's going to be massively game changing until you get it to 4 or 5 stars, in probably 5 stars. And even then, I don't think it's going to be massively game changing. I think it's just going to be a little bit of extra DPS. So with that, guys, please take a moment to like, share, subscribe. I already gave you guys the rundown for everything else. And I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow where we answer the questions for the community challenge. Take care, guys. Have a great day.